Welcome to the official AFL Fantasy podcast with the Traders.
G'day, with the Traders. Thanks to Sportsbet, I'm Rory, our Coach Destroyer, and I'm here with Warnie.
Coach of the One Dogs.
And Calvin.
Coach of Calvinator.
Right, boys. It's time. Midfield time.
The engine room.
The engine room. Oh, well, it used to be bulk points, but we're coming off a hot podcast where we talked about more half-back time. It's still where it's at in the midfield. It's important we nail it. That is where the bulk points come from. And this year, I think the midfield is more interesting than ever, Dog.
Ooh. Well, last year we had 21 players average more than 100. And it was 8 of them that went over 110. Like, I think that was up from about 5 the year before. So
significant.
Like a bit of a bit of an increase. Yes. So it is where the points come from.
Yes.
It's where your captains come from.
Not today, dog. If we did captains today, it'd be a 4-hour podcast.
And it is where you probably see most of that upside, I guess, in players that increase their averages as well, especially the rookies, I suppose. That's the key one, because they come in, if they are a midfielder, generally, if that's the role that they're playing, they've got more access to points, yada, 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 and that's where they are, and they are the bit of the backbone of your team, aren't they?
Yeah. 100%.
And you're right, Roy. We do want all of our players coming off the half-back, right?
Yes.
We all want that, right?
Yeah.
But normally,
traditionally,
this is where it's at.
And, well, there is still tradition. And we saw last year where, for example, breakouts happen in there when you get that more midfield time. So even like last year, half-back, Will Day, thrown in the guts, there's your breakout.
Okay.
So let's not forget, it's all about the more midfield time. It's still...
Hashtag.
The thing.
Keep looking for that when you're looking at these training reports. Now, Roy, you've been working very hard on your midfield.
Yeah.
And what do we do looking at the structure of how we line up in Fantasy Classic?
Now, I don't know if I'm just looking through swingers round glasses here because I'm looking at shifting up my traditional midfield setup. Now, you might go, you might be sitting there saying, Roy, but you're always so successful with how you put your team together every single year, the same bloody thing. Well, I'm looking at it maybe a little bit different, and I'm just trying to work out, like everyone else, how to navigate these early buys. And I'm looking at maybe making a shift in my midfield setup and my structure. So traditionally, I go 3 pretty much uber safe premiums. Then I take a punt on a couple of mid-price players, either underpriced due to injury, a role change, or maybe someone, a third-year breakout. And I usually roll with about 2 of them and then my 3 rookies to round it out. This year, I think I'm going to chase points, and I want safe access to big ceiling points over that first 6 rounds. So my structure that I'm looking at doing at the moment is a 5 premium and 3 rookie setup.
And when you say premium, they're all pretty big premiums, aren't they?
Yeah. Like I want 110 average kind of guys who also have huge ceilings. I don't think we can afford to miss one of these big scores in that first 6 rounds. So it's like I want to hit every guy that might get it.
Yeah, now, can I butt in, Roy? This is a strategy I have tried in the past.
I know. And I think you were ahead of your time.
Yeah, well,
it's old school as well. That's probably the thinking of it.
Yeah.
Like the guns and rookies approach is the old school approach.
Now,
you don't want to not get value.
No. And I think when you look at the guys that I'm talking about, I think you'd say, well, they are actually all value, despite being classed as those uber premiums. I'm also considering, however, and it's still the guns and rookies approach that you're talking about, Dog, but I'm thinking it could even become 4 and 4, given the amount of talent we have in the youngsters in the midfield.
Unless there's a rookie crisis. But
unless there is a rookie crisis.
But it's probably where they are, though,
on the horizon.
Like that's where, if we're looking at where our most likely sub-300k players are coming from, it is the midfield.
Yeah, and it kind of feels
that you're willing to play as well, I feel.
That's the key, that you are willing to play, especially compared to the sub-300 guys in the other positions. It just looks like it is bulk midfield talent. But at the moment, I'm comfortable sitting with that 5 and 3.
Okay.
Now, that's extreme.
It is.
And it's also a reflection of I mean, looking forward, but a very weak forward line with very few options that you'd want to spend money on this year. So that's why I'm thinking investing in the midfield and a bit of a safety.
It's the way to go.
Is the way to go. That's what I'm thinking at this stage, Dog.
All right. Well, where's your team at, Roy? If you want to give me your one player that is a lock for you that hasn't left your team this pre-season, who is it?
Well, and this is a funny thing as well, because if it was a normal season, no swingers round, I would be saying my lock is Sam Walsh, and if it's not Sam Walsh, I would have been saying it's Tom Green.
Yeah.
I think those two would have just been my easiest picks ever. However, because they've got early buys coming up, my lock is Butters, who I find it just astounding that he's available for under 900,000. I think we are just being gifted a real uber premium bargain.
What do you think he can do? Because he's priced at under 100, essentially.
He is, and I think he can go 110. I think he's that kind of guy. So he finished a year averaging 117 in the last month, but he also had a 6-week stretch in the middle of the season where he averaged over 120. Now, a 6-week stretch at that's significant.
And his body held up.
It held up.
That was a question.
Oh, boy, and without a doubt.
He was in Brownlow conversations around that patch.
He popped into favouritism at one stage.
Yep.
So now, he's my lock.
The fact that he's lost forward status is a little bit of a turn-off.
No.
Not a turn-off?
No, he's an exception to that rule.
Okay.
It doesn't even bother me in the slightest.
Fair enough.
I see it as a positive. He might be a little bit more unique because of that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Calvin.
Right.
Who are you locking in that hasn't left your team
mine
this pre-season?
Also a dead-set no-brainer, and it's Lairdy, Rory Laird.
Fair call.
Right?
Trying to be nice to him, eh?
Coming off averages of 112 and 120.
Yeah.
He went 114 in his last 10. Now, I'll remind you what he did in round one against GWS, 57. Not the best way to start your season, Cal, or your captains.
No.
Yeah, that put you on the back foot, didn't it?
It did.
Jeez.
Just your confidence was shattered too.
I was a wrecked man.
You could have just been picking Tim Taranto each week, but instead you're going away.
Do you now also check the temperature that they're playing in after that?
I do.
That wasn't one of your criteria, was it?
It was too hot
heading
for
into
him.
round one, where are they playing? Where is their first game?
Wouldn't matter, dog.
No.
Because this guy here...
He's more prepared for that
In
now.
his last 18 games, he went over 116 of them.
Yeah.
Playing on the Gold Coast.
Oh, is he? Yeah. No. It'll be fine, right? The only concern, we just need to check the weather.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe... That's now in captain's draw. You're spot on. That's a part of my captain's research.
Yeah. No, Lairdy is a good pick. I tend to agree.
17 criteria when it comes into Calvin's captains, and now that's the 17th.
Yeah.
So I've learned.
Yeah. And
I'm evolving.
so's Lairdy, though. He's
Yes.
going to be prepared. He'll just drink a little bit more.
Yep.
He'll be fine.
You might even wear an ice vest.
Yep.
Something like that.
Zinc cream on the nose.
There you go.
That'll
That's all
fix
he
it.
needs.
I've got mine at the top that hasn't left, and that is Zach Merrett, just basically. And this is that Guns and Rookies thought, Roy,
dog.
of just locking in a guy. Is there upside? Maybe not. But
Is there safety?
is there safety? Is there captaincy?
Yeah.
He's got a couple of nice matchups early.
He does.
And I don't know, he's the bloke that can put 150 on your head.
He is.
And he did it for me a couple of times last year as captain.
He did. Look, he's a jet. You can't go wrong with someone like that.
I think-
Except when you play Finn McGuinness in round one.
So if Finn McGuinness is named for that first game,
flag.
I won't play him. I won't pick him.
Oh, shadow jumper. What's
No.
that? Oh, shadow. Come on, dog.
You have to.
That ceiling you were talking about, though, I think
Yes.
he went 140 plus like 3 times in the last 8 weeks or something.
Yeah, a couple
That's
of times.
big.
Mate, under
Last
the
couple
roof.
of years, he's just been awesome.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like he's probably what we would call the best fantasy player of the last decade.
Is this a concern, right?
Why?
Because you've told me multiple times how stacked the Essendon midfield is. There's no room at half-back.
no,
they're
they're
all in the middle.
They're all... no, there's no room at half-back either because there's so many of those.
It's loaded, I know.
The
Where does Zach fit?
Well, Parrish and then Zach are the first two bananas, and they're big bananas. They're Coffs Harbour-like size bananas, those ones. The third banana... It's just like the little lady fingers. There's about 10 of them.
Oh, my God.
Is that the type they're called?
There he
bananas?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, God, man.
There's
I don't
just
know
a lot
where
of
you're
them.
going with that.
Well, look, I'm with you, dog. Two big bananas.
They are big bananas. All right. So the midfield is very interesting with what we've got. And I don't know, I feel like if it is that real guns and rookies, there's the typical players at the top there. So you've got... is Bont still in your team?
100% he is.
He is.
Yes, he is. If he can go with Zach Merrett, why can't I have Bont?
Because it's 5 points different. Zach's done it all the time.
It's just too expensive.
Bont's gone at 120 for over half of the season.
Yeah, clear standout.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's a bit too much.
Roy, if you're telling me I can go for 5 premiums, right, and I do have the 5 premiums, then I can go a little bit over the top with Bont.
You can only do it, I said, with ones that have upside. Bont is fairly priced.
And so Zach Merrett.
Actually, Bont... He upped his average.
Thank you.
He finished
Here we go.
Second half of the year.
Here we go.
He took himself a long way up from what he's ever done before.
Grab your cricket bat and hit a 6, dog.
Yeah, okay, no. I retract.
Good, thank you.
Keep him in there.
But if he can have Merrett, I can have Bont.
You know...
You can do what you want. It's your own team.
That's
It's
correct.
your own failure that you can be...
He's still there. He's still there.
No, that's fine.
All right, so he's in there. Has he been there the whole time?
Yes.
All right, well, what about someone that has been training with your squad? They might be in now or they've come in and out. Who have you liked there? We'll start with you, Roy, because you are the captain of the midfield.
All right, well, I like to mix things up at training, keep the boys, interested, excited. So I had Bring a Friend Day. And Zach, he brought along his mate, Connor Rosey.
Yes.
And he hasn't left.
Yeah.
I just said, no, you can keep training every week, mate. So Rosey is currently in my team as well. So I have the 2 Port boys that have been thrown the keys. Connor was also thrown captaincy. Now, he went at 113 from round 10.
Yep.
So he's... As I said at the start, he's one of those 110 Uber premium guys. So there's a little bit of meat on the bone with him. Obviously, the Power Boys don't have the bye.
Yep.
There's slight concerns over the Powers' game plan that may restrict, one or even 2 of them being able to hit that 110 mark. Rosie also has the added flag of a tag because he's the first one to probably cop attention this year, I think. But there's a lot of boxes being ticked for me from him, so he's in my squad.
I like that.
Do you?
I do. Now, the guy that hasn't left my team, well, he's popped his head in. He can get whipped for a couple of others. But I'm talking about Andy Brayshaw. Now, the big Bray...
Yes.
He's priced at his 110. Mm-hmm. The year before, he went 112.
Yeah.
Little bit of meat on the bone. From round 7, he averaged 114. That's where he's going to be.
That's him.
Yeah, that's him. So a little bit of...
Tiny little bit.
The thing is, Dog, and you flagged this with me.
This is probably on both of these. Go.
Yeah, and I don't know if I believe this 100%. Because he's got his little Essendon hat on.
Yes.
And I'll tell you what, it is a little hat. Yeah. That big head over there now.
XL.
There's not enough points to go around in the midfield, especially with Sarong and
That
and
is
all
a concern.
But is it?
Well, Brayshaw, first to be tagged. Yeah?
Yes.
Sarong?
Oh, Sarong started to pop
did.
his head up for a tag every now and then.
He did start.
But how many of these blokes are going through that midfield? You've got Fifey coming in now.
But Brayshaw doesn't step aside for them.
No, they don't. But surely there's points.
I'm with you. And I'm looking at their CBAs for last year. So Sarong was at 82%. Yeah. Brayshaw, 79%. Okay?
Yeah, the 1 and 2 bananas.
O'Meara, 55%. Well, he can get out.
To be there.
Right? Fife next in line, and then Matty Johnson, Hayden Young.
You've got Hayden Young.
Third
That's probably the third banana now.
Yep.
You've got Fife that's training the house now.
But he's only popping in. He's just popping in.
Yeah, but that third, I don't know.
Do you know what? This is why we didn't start Sarong last year, because we had this conversation and we were concerned about it. I think we just stopped with that.
Yeah.
Brayshaw is Brayshaw. He's the number 1 man in there. Absolute jet. Improving every year from here.
Yep. And even with Sarong's breakout season here, Brayshaw's gone at 116 in his last 5.
Yeah.
So maybe they complement each other.
Yeah. I really like it.
Yeah. That'd be novelty for us.
I think he is just in the mix for that safe 110 guy.
Yep.
And we're going to need a little bit of safety. We need some runs on the board.
And he's got a ceiling, the big fella.
He does.
A 157.
And that's what we don't want to miss in that first 6 rounds.
I'm with you.
All right.
Another bloke that I have had at training with me, and this is a bit of value, I would say.
Okay.
For a reason, almost, is LDU, Luke Davies-Uniacke. So the North Melbourne midfielder, he's priced at 97. He's better than that.
He is.
He's in the mid-100 range, I think.
Yeah.
Now, that's where I feel like he's at. And he's shown enough that he's been there. I think last 6 games, he averaged about 112 or whatever it was. But there's the headache that comes with it. Twice last year, he was a laid out. And one of them was actually here at Utah Stadium, where he was basically a late out minutes before.
Brutally
the first
laid
bounce.
out, we'll call it.
Wasn't the 60-minute laid out bounce. It was just minutes. And
People had put their feet up. His owners had put their feet up.
He did.
Yeah, and then there was another one a few weeks later where he was a laid out.
That's
Saturday
a pattern
afternoon.
forming. That's a pattern.
So that's an issue. However, he's got to string it together. And this might be a little bit of that conversation about the midfield time as such and the amount of bananas that are on that bunch there for the North Melbourne one. But he's the number one in there. He will be their best midfielder fantasy-wise and will be there. And I think that 97 is that bit of value. There could be 10 points upside there.
Yeah.
He could knock on the door of the top 8 midfielders.
So with him, he actually leads us into a good bit of discussion here because we've talked about a full-on guns and rookies there. LDU is creeping into that underpriced premium category, which there are guys that are well worth picking. And if you're backing these guys in, I don't blame you one bit. There's an argument for Guthrie. There's an argument for Matt Crouch, Jy Simpkin, even Karl Amon in that half-back role. All of those guys...
Normal season, we would probably have 2 of these.
Pop 2 of them in, without a doubt. And then even if you're looking at your breakouts, so the guys like Wardlaw, he's underpriced. Johnson's underpriced thanks to his vests.
What they can do.
And same with Sheldrick. His time on ground is low, averaged a lot, vested a lot. Those 3 guys are right in the hitting zone for a significant breakout year. So you could squeeze them in without a doubt as well. It's just not where I'm looking.
Agree.
But they all deserve to be in the conversation.
Sure, they do.
Now, we've talked about guys that are the absolute locks and training, and they're in our teams at the moment. We've talked about those big dogs at the top end. But probably the biggest locks in the whole fantasy game actually come from the midfield, and they are the cheaper guys. So we'll start with Colby McKercher. So Calvinator, your boy, it makes you proud.
Educated.
And he is dominating. 55% of teams at the moment.
That's not enough.
No, well, let's just leave it at that.
What are they doing?
We will get a leg up on the competition.
Each of us, we've got him at M6, so we're playing the 3 rookies on field at the moment.
Yes.
So he's at the top there. And the half-back role, we've said it all, I think. I don't think we need to say too much more about him. The next one on the list there for midfielders is Riley Sanders. Another Launceston boy. Jeez, he must be bred well here in Launceston. So he's at 285 grand. He's at the Bulldogs, and there should be a spot there, and everything is pointing towards him.
He's killing it.
Playing 23 games this year, almost. That's what it looks like.
The thing with those 2, they are going to score.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 best scorers in the under 18s.
Yeah.
That's what... Yeah. They're there.
And it's going to translate to the game at the top. They will score at the top level.
They will.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolute machines. Now, most of us currently, I think all 3 of us have got Jeremy Sharp there as the M8. So he should get a spot on the wing for the Freo Dockers.
Yep.
We all in?
Yes.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yep. Definitely.
Anything else to...
No, just when he used to have that role...
Oh, well, I remember getting some big scores.
He can get it. We've got to remember there's sometimes a hot wing and there's a cold wing.
Yeah.
So...
Well, it's sort of there because, what's his name, Liam Henry?
Yeah.
Yep. He's gone. Yeah. And so there is a spot there, I guess, for him, and it'll be interesting to see that rotation. But even Schmooky, when we spoke to him, was that last week, he pretty much said to us he's probably the winner of that at the moment. He's winning the first crack at a wing. So might even get a choice
hot
there.
Wing. That one right?
Hot wing. Jai Clark, Roy, you're the Cats boy for us this year. Happy?
Yeah, happy. Slow start to the pre-season, like he was training in his "Don't Touch Me" cap for a little while, but that has been removed.
All season.
That has been removed, and I mean, we saw him play 1 quarter he got last year, and he scored over 30. He had 5 tackles in that time. So he's another one. If he was fully fit and in the midfield, and he's one that could make it 4-4. Like if they were really bullish on giving him a go.
Surely the Cats give him more. Surely. They never do, though.
Clay Hall at the Eagles is another one.
Yep.
So 200K. Witho the other day on the podcast talked him up.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's there for round one. He'll be in the mix. So he's one definitely to watch, but obviously we'd be wanting to see him. Matt Roberts is another one that floated through over the last week or so, playing a half-back role. Now, I remember I picked him. I think it was down at Geelong, actually, and he injured his knee in that first quarter, and it looked like the right pick. And they're the things that put you right behind in the game.
I was devastated for you.
So last year...
Find those WhatsApp messages, and some of that would be good public viewing.
I felt bad for Roberts.
When people think that you're a nice guy, Destroy.
Last year, started the first 3 rounds in the vest. Round 5, he got out of the vest for a 64.
Yeah.
Add half back to that, Roy, and that's a ton.
See,
that's a ton.
He is a prime. We have to have 4 halfbacks in this game. He's not playing halfback for them.
So this is where there's a few of these.
He is or isn't?
Isn't.
No. Isn't.
No. He has to in match sims because 2 others have to.
That's right.
But he might be in the mix to play, and that's all we need for someone at 245K. As a midfielder, and we've got a few of them as well. Josh Sin, was he on the halfback as well? Is that what we heard about?
Sinders was.
Yeah.
So he's a midfielder at 257K. Kane McAuliffe is another one that's been getting a little bit of attention at the Tigers, being talked up in their match sims. So he's a 200K midfielder. So just put your little star on him, Calvinator.
Oh, yes, I have
He's
been doing
definitely worth having there. Is Jackson Binns, Roy? Is he a chance?
Well, listen.
Get in there, I call him.
Let's not throw him in because we're starting to talk all negative about Binsy. I guarantee he will play this year.
Okay.
So he will get games this year, but I did the best 22 for the Blues the other day, and Binsy, no, he just misses out to start with. But he will be an elite, and I mean elite downgrade target.
There's a fair chance he'll get a lot of discussion in Magoo's news.
Oh, he rips the Magoos to shreds.
Yep,
He's
fair.
disrespectful in there.
Yeah, he is.
But we'll be watching these guys, I guess, in that pre-season,
in
those pre-season games to see who looks like they, might get a game, which is the most important part. Like, scoring is almost secondary because you want your cash cows
You can't score if you don't play.
Exactly.
No, it's my rule.
And then in the midfield, do we get the opportunity to go, do we play 4 midfielders, rookies? Which I don't think we do.
No, nor do I.
I don't think we do. But that's where they're going to come from. You might be making some choices about that. That's where the utility is a great spot because you can essentially have 6 cash cow midfielders.
Yep.
But also, too, and that throws us into a rookie roulette.
And then
that's
deciding
who's playing or not.
Never win that.
All right. So going back, so they're the rookies. Let's look at now the most popular midfielders. And a lot of those guys we've actually just spoken about, and a lot all the way through there. A lot of them are the value options. Sam Walsh does make that list there.
Okay.
Destroy.
Yes,
26% alongside Marcus Bontempelli. Bont, we're feeling like too expensive, Cow?
No. You get what you pay for.
Is there a world that you can start Sam Walsh, Roy?
Yes,
And
there is.
What's that world? Probably an opening round score of?
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's quite a tough matchup. If he comes out and does 120, and you already have him in your team at the moment, you would obviously just lock it in. You'd be totally happy with that. But I think he's going 110 this year. So if he just does pump out his 110, and you're sold on him, you might as well start with him, hadn't you? Rather than look to chase him in a couple of weeks and pay more for it. I don't know. It's a tough one, dog. I don't know. I really don't know. It depends on your strategy to navigate these buys and how much importance you are placing on whether they have one or not.
Well, another buy player, Tom Green, 21% of sides. I love him.
Yes.
And I love his start. I think it's North and West Coast for the first couple. But he's got the round 2-3 buy. Yeah. And that is what really hurts there.
It does.
Like, it's a big dog premium. Like, it's not like you're just a little boy. He's a 998K boy.
Yes. Yeah.
And he shares that with a Flanders if you go in those areas as well.
But he could go back-to-back 130s and you should have just started with him because
Yep.
it's an obvious pick.
Now, you've paid top dollar for Errol Gulden before, Cal.
Yes,
He's
I
over
have.
a meal. Would you consider it?
Well, he's got a late buy, doesn't he, in round 5? Yeah. No, I'm not going to consider that.
A late early buy.
A late early buy.
So that sucks with him as well because, like, he went at 120 the last 12 rounds.
So that's
120. That's uber elite.
That's Bont areas.
Yes.
Yep.
Took is there in 16% of sides, and normal season we probably would.
Yeah, he's
be
value.
really looking at him
Yep.
because he's under 100 and should go over 100.
Yeah,
If you want to make it really simple.
It's only 2 years ago he went 120.
Well, and when he did that, he did it with Jack Steele, who's in 15% of sides. Now, he's in and out of my side and in at the moment for me. What are you thinking there?
Gosh, that's a big preseason watch for me.
It is.
If he looks back to 100% healthy, ball hunting, tackling, marking, steal, he has to be picked.
In his photo here, he has a mo.
Oh, the confidence.
Yeah, it's a confident mo. So that'll be interesting to see whether the mo stays.
Still last year's photo.
Oh, no.
Oh, gosh.
He has time to grow one.
Jordan Dawson's there in 12% of sides. I'm a bit colder on Dawson than others, I think.
It's harsh,
Just
but I
because-
have gone cold on Dawson.
If Matt Crouch is playing, there was a correlation with his scores.
There
with
was.
Crouch in the
It went
side.
down significantly.
Dawson
the
still
last
goes.
5 weeks.
He still goes 110.
Okay.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, he still goes 110.
That last few weeks with Crouch and as the number one man getting negative attention from the other team, because he's so good, he still went okay, but it was like 95 okay.
Yeah.
I think we asked this question the other day, but you're picking Laird over Dawson without even thinking about the price. Do you think that Laird averages more than Dawson?
I do, comfortably.
Yep, and he's 4 points cheaper.
Yes.
That's a lock there. Moving through, Merrett's in there in 10% of sides. Then you start getting some of these more speculative picks. Wardlaw, I'd love to do it.
Same.
Crouch, I wouldn't like to do it.
I would. If he's locked best 22, he's a bargain.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go there.
John Newcombe in 6% of teams. I feel like he's someone that can take it to the next
That
level.
would be a nice pick. Yep.
It's just his scoring and the way he's doing it. Like, if he can up those tackles, but does that then mean he doesn't get the disposal that's got him?
That's
interesting.
He plays the game the wrong way, doesn't he, Roy?
He does.
Cheap marks, mate. Come
There's
on.
a few, and Karl Amon there in the 5%. So there are a few players that you could be looking at as some value selections.
Yes.
on your
Without a
side.
doubt. That strategy is still 100% in play if you choose to go that way.
All right, one of the best midfielders in the competition and one that we love in fantasy, and I think we've all got him, don't we, boys?
yes, we
Certainly do.
We've got Rory Laird on the phone. G'day, mate.
Hey boys, how are you? Haven't spoken in a while, but good to be back.
Oh, it's great to have you back because you are, well, you've been here before. You've been a Dane Swan medalist as the best fantasy player of the year for us. And you're right back in the radar this year for us to be picking up in our sides. How are you feeling this pre-season there? We picking you with plenty of confidence, are we?
Well, from what I've sort of seen and heard on the Twitter, in the Twitterverse, I should say, with you boys, I think I feel all right, boys. I've been a bit slow at times. I just turned 30, so but I actually feel pretty good. I've missed a beat this pre-season, I should say, and I'm really confident with how I'm going. But more importantly, and more exciting times for the boys at the moment. We're training really well. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but I am very excited with how the group's going, and it's a lot of fun at the moment, so I'm enjoying it.
Well, there's plenty of Crows that we've got on our radar and plenty of blokes to think about and talk about. Calvin is the big Crows fan.
Yes, big Crows, man.
He's made a big list here and he's pretty keen to pick the brain.
My heart is fluttering away here, Lairdy. Now, can you just tell us about how the midfield will look, and then I'll tell you how it should look. Okay, you go first.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Well, I think there's going to be a bit of flexibility and a bit of variety. I think if you watched a few of our games last year, then you would have seen a few blokes rolling through. You got probably the mainstays of, the Crouch, the Dawson, myself were through there, and then you've got a whole plethora of guys that rolled through. You've got Sloaney, Jake Soligo, Isaac Rankin, Josh Rochelle, Luke Pedler. So there's a fair bit of a mix and match in there, and yeah, it is, which is really good for sort of the flexibility of our group and what the boys could do. They can play dual position.
So you'd confidently say that Dawson, yourself, and Crouchy are the three big bananas in there.
I wouldn't say the big bananas, but I'd say, you look at sort of core inside minutes, you'd probably look at that, and then there's sort of the flexibility around that. And you even saw last year, Dawson went forward, Dawson went back. He's a bit of a Mr. Fix-It, so he can do a bit of everything and sort of dominate wherever he plays. So, it's probably the way to look at it. And, sort of increase minutes for those young fellas, and they'll probably get more minutes this year. It might push me out somewhere else, so we'll see how it goes.
Don't let that happen.
Do not let that happen.
Now, someone that we saw in the Magoos a lot last year, much to our disgust, was Matt Crouch. So I hate to keep banging on about this, but we fear that he could end up there again, despite his excellent end to the season. Are you really confident that he starts there and stays there, given full opportunity?
Yeah, look, I think Crouchy sort of showed exactly how the midfield dynamic works with him for those last 6 games. And, obviously stepped out and was injured for a week, and he came in and sort of played that inside mid role. And, him and I played next to each other, and the last 6 games are really strong for us, and we played some really quality opposition, and we sort of rode in those games, and we won a few of them. So, I think just the quality that he brings to that inside grunt work, and as I said, with the flexibility around, we got some more outside players. You sort of see the speed of, Rochelle, Rankin, Pedler. I think it adds a really good mixture to it, and you need a bit of a balance in there. So he hasn't missed a beat this pre-season. It does sound cliche, as I sort of said before, but he's looking primed and ready to go.
Because old mate Rochelle, he started in the middle at the start of last year, and then he sort of didn't get back in there again. So the question is, more CBAs for him surely this year?
Yeah, it's sort of like a balancing act, because you sort of go, right, I want to see Josh Rochelle around the ball because he's dynamic, but then you go, well, we're taking him away from goal where he's also pretty electric. So you've got to find that balance. And I think it's going to be, as I sort of said, a bit of a mix and match, because there is so many guys that can roll through there. So I'm glad that I'm not in the coaching panel to try and balance that act. And I dare say the forwards coach, Scotty Burns, wants him down the forward line, and then BV wants him to pinch hit in the midfield. So I think he would definitely get some exposure, but a matter of how much is the golden question.
That's very similar to Warnie back in the OL days, Roy.
Yes.
He was dynamic through the midfield, but they really needed him up forward.
That is as close to the goal square as I could when I was there. Now, there's a few players that we're looking at. We look at kids. We know that that's where a lot of cash can be made in the cash cows, and probably the one that is on everyone's lips. We are looking there at your first-round draft pick in Daniel Curtin. So has he had a bit of an interrupted pre-season, or has he just been sort of nursed and managed a little bit? And do we expect him to probably be there in round 1 for us?
Yeah, look, it's been a bit of an up and down pre-season for Dan. Not in terms of actually his production when he's out there, but as you said, he's had a few niggles, and he's been on and off the track, and came back and looked fantastic, and was in his stride and training really well, and then sort of had a bit of a sore knee, and he's just come back into some main training. So you look at sort of the next 4 or 5 weeks and some of the trial matches, that will be the sort of gateway into that sort of answer to that question. But in terms of his actual size and the way he uses the ball, the composure for a big guy, the skill level, you can see why he was such a highly rated talent. And a super important part of our team at the moment is their key backs, and he'll be right in there, searching for a spot with some of the other ones that are around the mark at the moment.
Now, it took probably 15 rounds for other teams to recognise that Jordan Dawson is an absolute jet. But to the eye, it looked like they started to put a little bit more attention into him that last 5 or 6 weeks. Was that noticeable out there?
Yeah, I think I was surprised it actually took that long, because he was simply dominating games. And I think he had a fair few tags, probably the last 8 or 9 games. I think he had David Swallow for a bit against Gold Coast. He definitely had Callum Mills as a tied tag. That's probably why you saw him go forward and back a bit more. They were trying to sort of break that tag, and as special as a player as Dawson is, he can actually just roll wherever he wants really, and have an impact on the game. So it wouldn't be surprising to see that again. I think he's such a good ball user and a generator of that outside, ball that makes him super dangerous. But the thing is as well, he's a tackling machine, and he actually does some of the inside grunt as well. So he's a bit of a Mr. Fixture, as I said before, but it wouldn't be surprising to see teams go after him again. He's a jet.
Now, you blokes lost Tommy Duday, and he's obviously was an important part of your back line. Went down with his injury, but I'm surprised Calvin hasn't reeled this out because I reckon I've heard it from him about 55 times this pre-season. But he liked the look of Hinge when he basically his numbers just went up as soon as Duday were out, weren't they, Calvin? Can you remember exactly those stats that you reel off the top of your head?
Mate. After the bye there, he averaged 91. Yeah. So big increase from the 75 he had for the season.
So do we see that continuing for Hingy? Because he's pretty good with the ball in his hands is probably a thing that you guys like, I reckon.
Yeah, he's definitely got a penetrating kick and is really powerful through his legs. You sort of see him get the ball and break through the lines. And I think the half-back line sort of mix there of Brodie Smith, Wayne Miller and Mitch Hinge is pretty damaging. So between those three, you probably want to get the ball in their hands as much as possible coming out of the back half. And the thing with Hingy as well is he can play tall and small. So I think probably the back half of the season you see more of that running game. But there was games, he played on Jeremy Cameron for a bit down in Geelong, and he's sort of that flexible hybrid sort of third tall, rangy running defender. So I think he grew in a lot of confidence as well throughout the year. He had a fantastic year, and especially that back half of the year, I think he really cemented that spot. So, he'd definitely be an important part of that back six this year.
Now, Lairdy, when you reeled off the people running through the midfield, you named about 15 players, but one of them that you didn't name was Ben Keys. So is that the end of Keysy in the guts? Is he just a forward now?
I think he sort of made that role his own, the work rate up and down the ground at the end of the year. And he just seems to find the right spots in forward 50 as well. I think he plays that as that high half forward role and getting back to goal and sort of up around stoppage and, moving back through to the forward line. So there hasn't been too much midfield time for Keysy, but the numbers he can still get from just pure work rate and where he finds himself inside 50, he still kicks a lot of goals and, played some really important roles for us last year down there. So that's probably more the role that he's looking at the moment.
Right, Lairdy, we appreciate your time and thanks so much for joining us here for this midfielders special on the podcast. Just before you go, you've won the Dane Swan medal before, and it's pretty important to win trophies in sport, and it's a good thing to award your effort. Now, does Nicksy like a trophy? Would he be someone that would be, like a little pat on the back and a little medal put around his neck, do you think?
I don't know, actually. He's pretty sort of a nonchalant guy. I think he sort of likes being in the background a bit. Why? What do you got something for him to do?
I don't know if you saw the news this week. We've been shafted as fantasy coaches with the naming of the teams is going to name a 23, so we're not going to know the sub until that hour before the game rather than coming from the emergency list. Because Nicksy could win the fantasy coach of the year, and that you could just let us know the sub early, whether it's a presser on Thursday or Friday, or let you put it out on social media for everyone or something like that. Do you reckon he could do that?
Look, mate, you can ask him yourself if you want. Like, I can let you sort of get an answer, or maybe I'll speak to the media manager and say that the boys want to check you.
Well, the amount of love you blokes will get from the fantasy community if you did announce your sub early, you'll sell memberships. Actually, take that to the media team. Yep. We'll all be on board. So that's what it's done. Thanks, Lairdy, for your time, mate, and we're looking forward to picking you in our teams this year. The only thing is, Cal just wants to make sure. Check the weather beforehand. Because
no, look, Dog, you said you weren't going to bring this up. Lairdy, you scored a 57 in round one last year, right? And you were my captain, so...
Mate, I can't... the heat, mate, I'm telling you, I'm not a heat guy. I need my rain.
Right, I'll check the weather leading into round one.
I'm worried for him. He's playing in the Gold Coast.
He's playing Gold Coast round one, aren't you?
Take some zinc, mate.
Yeah. I might need the week off for an IV drip or something. I don't know what goes on, but I need to be cool.
Lairdy, thanks so much for your time, mate, and we look forward to you racking up plenty of fantasy points for us this year.
No worries, boys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, turning our attention to draft for our midfielders. Always interesting in draft when you are drafting your midfielders because you'll get them early because you want your captain or you want to lock in those big dogs, but then you can throw a blanket over a lot of them.
You can.
And you should be able to get some pretty high-scoring players with your last few picks in draft.
Yeah.
That's usually where it is. But right at the top end of our draft, and this will help you with your rankings, but also with your thinking for Classic is... Yes. Roy's rolling 22. The midfielders. We need to pick 8. Your best 8 midfielders, Roy, in order. Who you think,
Mate,
will be there when we check this back in round 24?
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to be disappointed. But I won't lie, it was a tough job because we've got an interesting mix and age bracket of the real top-end ones at the moment. Some of these, they're kids, some of the ones that are in the mix for the best mids in the game at the moment. So, like, their ceiling is just through the roof. But anyway, we'll start with the top. I have to go with Bont. So he obviously absolute beast, dominated the season, deserves to be number one. There's rumours of more midfield time and things like that, but it's nothing to be worried about.
Okay.
And the Bont has so many different scoring, access to scoring in his game that he just deserves to be number one.
Now, he started off slow this year. 3 scores under 100.
Yeah.
But from round 4 onwards, he goes 120.
Yes.
Right,
Did you hear
trading at that point.
Yeah, well, I did.
He's undervalued. He's a bargain dog. Hear me out.
Look, no, I have heard you out, and I've ticked off the purchase.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's just good old typical cow.
Yeah,
but
that's what I do.
It's still, I don't mind your argument for it. Now, number 2, a bit of a mover, really, but
a shaker.
It is Tom Green.
Yep.
This
Love
guy is next level, and I'm angry at myself that I can't allow myself to pick him with that round 3 bye.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to come back to haunt us, not doing it.
We won't be able to afford him.
No.
If he gets off to that flyer against North and Eagles.
It's going to be a long time before you get him if you don't do it.
Yep.
Especially unless one of your other premiums fall or really flop,
Yep.
you're just going to be without him for a long time. So I think he's an absolute jet. He's number 2. Safety at 3rd, and that's Zach Merrett. The way Zach finished the season looked outstanding, and I think he's going to have another big year. Number 4 is Rory Laird. I think he's back to his best, another safe pick. Then number 5 is Errol.
Wow.
So, as I said, those last 12 games at 120 for Errol.
See, that's ridiculous.
He stays on the ground, 91% time on ground for Errol in that period where he averaged that. You got to love those dudes that stay out there.
He hates to sit.
Yeah. So even if his CBAs aren't, his CBA percentage isn't as high as others, the fact he rests out there rather than sitting on the bench is a thing that ensures his scoring keeps ticking over. Then I've got Andrew Brayshaw, number 7, after averaging 115 in the finals, including a massive 140. We are going to see 110 plus from Sam Walsh.
You got him in there.
At number 7, I got him in there.
Done.
And then number 8, this is where the blankie started, Dog.
Oh, the blankie.
At number 8. It could have been one of many, but I have gone with the new power skipper, just behind Sam Walsh for the record.
Okay, yes. I can see what you've done there.
Kano.
But Connor is rounding it out.
Okay.
Now, there's some people would be rightfully falling off their seats here, and I understand the shock, but get back on the seat. Yes, Dog?
I feel like you've said Butters ahead of Connor average.
May have.
Right, because they are close.
But yeah, they are.
It's the rolling 22 and anything goes.
Yeah. Yes. So I had to make the call, Dog, in the end, and I did. I backed in. Yeah. No, I backed in Connor's finish to the year over Butters, even though they were both very good.
So when I peel back the blanket,
yes.
Who's under it?
Who's having a wrestle under there?
Who's under that
trying
blanket?
to get out?
Well, yeah, Zach is. Zach's
Butters is under there.
Butters is under there.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
He was very unlucky. So was Jordan Dawson.
Oh yes, unlucky.
Yeah.
Petraka.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sarong.
Yeah.
You see these names?
Yeah.
They're big.
It's a big blanket.
It's a big blanket.
Massive.
Can Sarong get closer to Brayshaw? Could he average more than Brayshaw this year?
No.
It's a no from me.
Oh no.
But yes, he could, Dog. Yes, he could.
Of course he could.
But at this stage, with there's a lot of criteria that were in play here to make this call. No, he doesn't.
What about Clary, Oliver? Where's that at the moment?
He's in the mix.
He has to be.
He's in the mix
Yep.
with those other blokes.
He'll be in the rolling 22 at some point.
I would like to think so.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope
I
so.
would
his
like to
sake
think so
as well.
Like he is one of the probably top 3 midfielder in the game.
Easy.
And scores as well, obviously, from a fantasy perspective.
Yep.
So, yes, I am hoping that he is in there at some stage, Dog, but I just couldn't do it at this stage.
Now, we've got a couple of things to think about. We're going to talk some sleepers in a moment. These guys might even come as part of this, but dual position players. Now, we'll get these updates after round 6, so ahead of round 7, after round 11, ahead of round 12, and after round 17, ahead of round 18.
I got it.
Saw the pattern
I just
forming.
wanted you to understand that. And the reason why it is after round 6 this year is so that all teams have the same amount of games to be played, because round 6 is one of our early bye rounds. Anyway, there's some players in the midfield that with midfielders, and this is where the best value comes from, obviously, if they're named as a midfielder and they gain another status, either forward or defender, which is probably where most of these guys are going to end up. Because, well, from what we've heard so far. So I've got 3 players, I guess, that we will consider or think that they might happen. I'm going to start with our rookie, Colby McCurch. If he's playing that half back, he'll get defender status.
Yeah, and he might actually spend the season in our team.
He could be
Keeper Roy.
Yeah,
He
some
could
may
be
say.
Yes.
Ian Healy back there for us,
Yep.
because he will be there for the season just about if he can score like we're projecting him to score as a defender.
Which we're not mucking around. We think this is Sheasel areas.
Well, what was the quote Drew Jones said to us?
Oh, it's more like Nick Dacos than Sheasel. Yeah.
Better than Dacos.
Yeah.
Better than
Wow.
Sheasel.
Oh, my God.
If Dacos and Sheasel had a child, it would be Colby.
The other one, Karl Amon, Roy. You've been
yes.
hot there.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I have.
Are you still in the mix to make your team?
Well, not if I've gone away from that,
that-
cheaper sort of guy in there. But, yes, he deserves it. And it's only strengthened, Dog, by you bringing up the fact that we probably will be able to throw him back. So
So he should.
So he's probably minimum 15 points underpriced
Yep.
based on having that halfback role. And then you get to throw him back in round 6. It's 2 pretty big boxes to tick. So I think he deserves to be well in play for people, yes.
Now, Nick Martin's another one. So for the Bombers, he's been touted to go to the halfback. So maybe off that wing to the halfback.
He's
so
built
he could
for that
gain-
role too.
Oh,
Oh,
definitely love it. Which then could have a bit of a issue, maybe flow-on effect then for your Ridleys and your Redmonds and stuff if
True.
he's back there.
He
But
would be the man.
He's another one there. So they're probably the main ones from midfielders gaining another status.
Yep.
That's where that's at. I guess the other one could be Bont if he does get that extra forward time.
He won't play forward
He's
enough
not
to
playing
get that.
forward.
No, I don't think so. All right, let's have a look at some sleepers that we've got. Who are we thinking about? Who are you bumping up your draft order? Draft kit. Go and get that now at.
Well, I'm looking at a couple of
AFL.com.au/fantasy.
guys here with an 87 next to their name, based on, and one's Amon.
Yeah.
Okay, so he can be bumped up. The other one's Cam Guthrie.
Yeah.
Now, he's been doing well.
Yeah.
He's all right. He's much better than what he was last year.
Yeah. He's the man in the middle for them.
Could push the 100 mark.
Without a doubt.
So he can be bumped up.
Yeah, well and truly. George Hewitt, like he's a bit of a forgotten man, but he had a horrible run last year. He wore the vest a heap of times. He was recovering from injury. That 74 that is next to his name, that'll be more like a 90 to 94.
If you're going right down the bottom, like blokes that are well, their average is in the 60s, so they're probably not getting taken on draft day if anyone's just drafting purely by average. You might have your George Wardlaw with that 65. That should increase to the 80s.
Yeah, definitely.
You'd think. He's going to be. He's a tackler. He's in the mix there. If you listen to the draft doctors, they are very, very hot there. Steve is definitely keen on him. What about Horn Francis?
Oh,
as well,
all
though?
in. All in. Yes.
That's that squeeze, though, in that midfield.
it is.
What about
It is.
Winesy?
Maybe.
All
Oh,
of
yeah.
those guys.
See, no,
There's
well,
a
that's,
lot of them.
So Wines is a massive bargain. So he was out on the wing all last year. Then their player movement in the off-season has ironically pushed him back into the midfield.
Okay.
So his 78 is going to push 90.
Yeah.
So he'll be a bargain there. Horn Francis, I think he's one that might pick up.
Yeah.
forward
status again.
Like,
Because he was last year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because we were idiots.
We were idiots early, dog.
Yeah,
but
so-
it's 68 next to his name. That improves.
68 and the potential to be a DPP.
Because he started scoring well towards the end of the year.
Not
He
a
had some
bad-
shockers in there.
Late bench option.
Late bench option.
Yeah. With serious upside because he's a gun.
Yep.
Well, he will be.
Got a question for the traders? Tweet the boys at AFL Fantasy or head to facebook.com/AFL Fantasy Official.
Let's look at some of the questions from social. You've got at AFL Fantasy on Instagram. We'll post some stories and get some questions before we record. And also on our Facebook page. And there is the X account at AFL Fantasy. You can also get us. I'm at Warnie DT.
I'm at Roy DT.
That's Calvin DT.
And we'll do our best to answer your questions there as well. All right, Sam actually asked this one. We just answered it. Who are the best potential DPP options for round 7? Karl Amon is definitely one, but any others keep an eye on? That's all that we're sort of thinking of at the moment. A bit more will probably evolve over these next couple of weeks.
He's my number one in terms of relevancy and
Can be a top 6.
His upside.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could easily be a top 6 defender.
Yeah, I don't feel there's a need to chase him if we're given the gift of Colby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like throwing him back there to get one of those, maybe a rookie off the field or whatever in defence will be a...
When you're drafting as well, though, that's something that you do think about. Like you might, if you know that you've got a player that should go back, that will be fieldable.
Yeah.
You can be targeting that forward or targeting that midfielder that needs to replace him later as well.
Gee, you're a good drafter.
I wish my results showed that. Daniel, if Nick Martin is playing half-back like the rumours are suggesting, do you think he has a potential to average 95 to 100? I feel like there's serious upside coming off half-back. We'll also get DPP after round 6.
I agree. I reckon he is one that will absolutely flourish in that role. Could average 95 to 100? Yes, definitely.
He's one of my favourite Essendon players.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's only in 1% of teams at the moment.
Yeah.
So
What's he priced at?
look, he's got an average of 85 next to his
so
name.
it's a lot.
769.
Yeah, he can go 100.
You can.
Mitchell on Facebook. Thoughts on Rao? Any chance he could take a big step up this year under Dimmer? Would be a big
It's interesting.
point of difference.
Like,
if
that's
so.
one we need our eyes on big time because never underestimate the shuffle when a new coach comes in. That's why players like Flanders are a big watch as well there because if he's thrown in the middle, like, then he's in play. But Rao is definitely, he's got all the tools to be a dominant 100-plus
started.
midfield.
So, what was he 92 average last year.
I owned him, right?
So
for
did
too
I.
long.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
too long.
The buy hurt us.
Leading up to the bye, he'd been
He was awesome.
awesome.
Look, it's a watch and wait. It's a...
He was doing stupid things last year, though, like stupid roles, like really defensive ones, and that's not what he's built for. He's built to rack up and
tackle.
tackle and be a threat in front of goal. Like, remember those first games? He was pushing forward, kicking goals out of the midfield. That's him, and that is 100-plus potential.
Yep.
Could happen. Keep an eye on it.
Michael has how many underpriced premium mids with an early buy is too many? Well, we don't have any.
No, we don't have any.
Who are the legitimate options, though? Walsh.
And Green.
How much are you calling Green underpriced? Like, that's the thing at the 112.
Comfortable.
What does he need to do then to be an
keeper?
underpriced
Look,
midfielder?
well, 118, which he will do with ease.
You'd just have to have a big one in opening round.
I still think you can maybe just hold off, can't you?
He'll be well and truly over $1 million.
If it's an enormous one, like if he pumps out a 150,
then you just have to.
and then you know you've got North and West Coast.
You got to take the points. You
And
got to
then
chase the points.
because that price is going to be up so high
Yeah.
that you're
This
not
is
going
the
to get
problem.
him.
This is the problem. Yep. Let's avoid. Then there's going to be people laughing because no one else can afford them or get them in. Find a way to get them in.
I've just had a quick look here. So he plays Collingwood in the opening round.
Mm-hmm.
Scores against Collingwood last year. What can we expect? In the prelim final, 94. In round 9, 81.
He might make the choice for us, make the decision.
Now, and that's coming off a 136, a 170, and then he goes 81, then back to a 111, 108, 115.
He'll score 120 against them round one.
Well, based on last year's scores, Roy.
He's a different beast. I've had sources inside Giant training.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one can touch this guy.
Yeah, I can
Like,
imagine.
I'm talking untouchable.
Yeah.
Oh. He will go 120 round one without a doubt.
Okay. There you go.
Louis on X, a midfield double up. Is it Butters and Rosie as a combo or Brayshaw and Sarong as a combo?
I see. I like these areas. I think
it's Butter and Rosie for me.
I've got 3 out of the 4. How about that?
So do I at the moment.
Yeah.
And who's missing? Sarong.
Sarong's missing.
Who's a jet as well.
I think the Port duo have a little more upside than the Docker duo. How about that? A little.
I would love to see a bit of a slight tweak of the game plan at the Power to
Yes.
have full faith in this power up that we're doing.
Yes.
With those two
It's just,
boys.
I guess, they're cheaper as well, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
Butters and Rosie are a lot cheaper.
Yeah, I feel
compared
like
to
Butters,
the
you can,
Brayshaw Sarong
it's just
combo.
genuine value, that one.
Yep.
Harry, Calvinator.
Got you, mate.
You love a little bit of Fremantle action. Could Neil Erasmus and Matthew Johnson have a third-year breakout? And if they do, they've done that off the back of the fact that they're getting midfield time in that mix. Brayshaw, Sarong,
Johnson,
come on, mate. Fight
Johnson,
for
yes, 100% he can.
Yeah.
So he was awesome out of the vest last year.
Yeah.
Too many vests for one person to carry, Roy.
Yeah, especially one that can play.
Yeah, and he's good. So, yes, he 100% has a huge breakout season.
Yeah.
Worth looking at, too, if you want to shop in those areas.
Yeah. I would like to think he's now at a point where he's out of the vest.
Yep.
But then there is the fear that he has been an easy whipping boy in the past. When push comes to shove, maybe they just throw him one again.
And that's the problem. That's the problem with this range of player around that 500 mark.
Yeah.
But I think Johnson out of those two, yeah, he could have a massive year.
Same.
Anthony should be answering those. Question with the number 45 hat is his profile there on X. Hey, Legends, do any mids over 950k have upside in your opinion?
Well, that would be your... what's Butters, Roy? That definitely is Butters areas.
Butters is
Well, Rosie would be there, wouldn't he?
under that.
So you're looking at, so you got Rory Laird, who's above it at 986. Tom Green, obviously we've spoken about.
That's value.
Bont, yep, that's still value. But no, not
There
above.
aren't many.
No, not above the. Yeah, so we'll go
950.
Rosie, Laird, Green, Bont.
Yeah, I'm happy with all of those. Now, I'm not gonna go and say Bont as well. However, I am saying I think those other three have value. Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Brendan, can you rank Wines, Guthrie, Matt Crouch? All have a non-early buy, all unders based on potential and price,
Yeah.
all overs based on age. That is correct.
Correct.
So, Wines, Guthrie, Crouch, draft. Let's think about if you were drafting them right now. Cal, you're on the clock.
That's the draft button. He's hit the draft button. I'm going Guthrie.
Yeah.
As my first one,
Yeah.
based on the reasons we've spoken about. He's the number one big banana in there for Geelong.
Roy with pick 2. Who do you take?
Crouch.
Crouch. Ooh. So Winesy could be some value there in draft. If
There's definitely value there.
There is.
Yeah, right. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, I would understand if you're thinking Wines over Crouch,
Because
but I'm
surely there's got to
comfortable
be
with the
some
Crouch.
question marks about Crouch's job security.
There is.
Despite
Yeah.
the fact that he signed his contract and yada
He played
yada.
the 6 most important games of the year, and he averaged 98.
Most important for the
Yeah.
Crouch. Oh, I suppose they were knocking on the door of finals, weren't they?
Yeah, and so then I did factor that in, and I also thought about the question marks that could have Wines pushed straight back out of that midfield mix.
Yeah. After all that, now I think about it, Guthrie clear number one out
He
of
is.
those three.
Yep, safest by a country mile.
Yep.
He's the number one banana
Yes.
in there.
Digger, at this stage, going with 4 midfielders over $1 million and 4 rookies. Does that sound? That is purely golden
That-
rookies.
That is what I'm talking about.
It is, yep. One too many at this stage, in my opinion. However, I did say at the start that could be in play.
That's right.
I think we still want some upside. Anyway, it's interesting.
There's upside
Could
in
get you off
players
to a
worth
start.
$1 million.
There is. Dog doesn't see that.
Nah, he's an idiot.
history, Calvin.
Oh, yeah, no. I
Lockie,
understand.
in order, who are the three most important midfielders to pick in Classic? This could be really obvious.
It is.
McKercher,
Yes.
Sanders, and...
Sharpie.
I'm not... Well, yeah, I like him, but I don't know if he's the most important. Whoever that
So
third one
it's
is,
those
is
two.
probably good.
And
But
then
those
who
two...
is the third one then?
Jeez.
We don't have another must-have.
It could be anyone.
Like,
The
do-
way you're
do you
hot
know-
on Butters, it is.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
that's value.
That is. Do you know I would be saying it is those two and then Green and Walsh? That's like that's what I should be
Good question,
saying.
Lockie.
It is.
Wow. Kane, should we be paying for a captain option such as Dawson, who doesn't have an early buy, or do you look for value at M1? So I don't love Dawson. That's my thing. But
No.
let's forget that it's Dawson if it's someone in that price range.
We've been a bit
As your
brutal
captain
on
option.
Dawson.
Oh,
Actually.
he still goes 110. Jaden put a stat out the other day. I don't know if you guys saw it on X about how the Jordan was influenced by Crouch at stoppages. And the answer was he actually was 2 points better at stoppages. So he actually lost his points when Crouch played around the ground. Now, I saw people commenting that maybe old Jordan was just tired. Maybe he just not slackened off, but fatigued in the last four
How many
games.
degrees was it? Does
And
you get affected by the colder weather?
By the
at
colder
end of the
weather.
year?
Hates cold.
I think teams were putting a fair bit of time and effort into him, to be honest.
So to answer the question, if you're going to, the amount of premiums we're going to have this year is probably going to be more than what we've had in the past. Okay, and with that, you're going to have multiple captain options already. Like I could say to you right now, Dog, name 3 people in your team that you could have as captain. You could easily do it.
Yeah.
Could easily find 3 guys in there. So, yes, you are going to have multiple options no matter what.
Charlie, on our Instagram story, Brayshaw or Laird for M1? Is it Brayshaw or is it Laird?
I've got Laird just ahead of Brayshaw.
Same.
2 spots in the Rollin 22, actually.
Same.
That's a good way to go back to. Dyson, should we be picking the value midfielders or paying up for the big dogs? Guess what today has sounded like, and this could change, but we are, I guess, paying up as such. Value is still definitely part of what we're trying to pick.
That's why we've fallen.
But
on
we're not trying to get that sort of 80s value, dude.
No.
We're trying to get the
We're finding value in the
Top end.
top end premiums.
Tyler wants to know, is 3 rookie midfielders on field too much?
I think it's
Sanders
spot
Sharp.
on.
I think it's spot on. I think that's where we need to be.
And we've teased with the area of 4. And that might be where we end up going. But at the moment,
don't
Highly
think so.
doubt it.
3 is
but-
the answer at
yeah.
the moment.
Rosie or Butters, if you were picking one of them.
Butters, if you want one.
Butters.
Yep.
He's under 900k.
Right. Best tips for someone who is trying to develop into a sweeper type on baller. Oh, what would they be?
Get to halfback.
Yeah, just get behind the ball. We did our rankings there before. Amon, Crouch, or Guthrie. Amon
Amon,
comes into that. So we
Crouch.
went Guthrie over Crouch. Karl, Amon.
I think I'm going Amon over Guthrie.
I am.
Yep.
Access to easier points.
Yep. And then picks up defender status.
Yeah.
Keat has this one. I think Pendles, Gaff, Callum Ward, and Hunter Clark are all underpriced.
Yep.
Rank them. This is where it is purely draft only for me. With those guys.
And they're old. They're old.
Well, here do you sit with your mate Gaffy Cow?
No, we're not.
What do they average? Gaffy, 80. Pendles, 85.
Yeah.
Hunter Clark, I just don't think he's...
No.
Might not play 10 games.
Callum Ward.
I go Pendles. I think Gaff will bounce back a bit because the team will be better, so he might get the ball a bit more. Then Ward, then Clark.
Yep. If it was Green or Gulden, both got buys.
They do, and they're both Jets, but I am
Green.
big on Green, just big on Gulden.
Yeah. What about 6 premiums for Brados? Is that too many? In the midfield.
Hey.
We don't know.
And
No
my answer-
one knows yet.
No, there's never enough. Throw them all in there.
It's just that's just dependent on whether we need those 3 rookies on the field, because we don't want to end up with an absolute spud rookie in defence that's going to give us 30 or 40
Yep.
if we can have access to a 65, 75 sort of midfield rookie.
Also, from our Insta story, Lockie's got this one. Hugh McCluggage is a point of difference.
Yeah.
I like it.
You do like a bit
He's
of
at
Hugh.
about 90.
Yeah.
He went basically at 100 when Ashcroft was out. And Ashcroft's going to be
That's
out
a
for
better
a long time.
reflection of
I
what
like
he is.
it.
Yeah.
Agree.
It's an option, and again, it's a draft option.
Yep.
That's the thing. I just don't think I could do that in Classic.
No. No, Hugh's burnt me in the past, so I'm a little bit tarnished by that.
Fair
but
enough too.
He's a 100 guy. He's a great player.
Yep. Jy Simpkin, mentioned him before. Is he an
Deserves a
option?
mention. He's priced at like 76 or something.
Training the house down.
Silly, isn't he?
Can be in the mid-90s.
Yep. And has done
100%.
before.
He went 95 2 years in a row
He did,
before
yeah.
that disaster
He did.
last year.
Yep. Agree.
Yeah, does he get squeezed a little bit?
I reckon, but where to?
Can he pick up
Which
forward status?
which
or half
which
back?
flank?
Yeah.
which outside role can he have that can make it work for him? What about Noah Anderson? That's from Bell.
Oh, Noah.
Just a forgotten man. He was a bit of a buzz name last year, and then he forced his way into a lot of teams with some outstanding form through one stretch. I just don't think I've got him in the class of these other big names that we're talking about.
Look, so you got to 101 as an average,
Yeah.
which is elite.
It's impressive.
You know, but no, it got the early buy. Just doesn't seem to work.
Yeah, one to watch under Dimmer though, because they've got that much talent in there.
Yeah.
Which ones are going to be the ones that are really throwing the keys from a fantasy role perspective?
Yep.
Because things will change in there, and there's going to be a couple of big scorers come out of it.
Daniel wants to know, is Paddy Cripps an option, Roy?
Oh, he's a bargain price,
He
no
is
doubt
real
about
cheap.
it. But he just is a no from a fantasy perspective these days, I think.
And he's part of that, I guess, the fact that you are hoping and think that Walsh will be better.
It's no, Warnie, hope is a dangerous thing. There is no hope about it. I'm telling you
And
what
that's it.
Sam will do.
So he's under 800k. He's averaged 88 last year, which is down from the 102. So
Yeah.
yes, there is a bit of meat on the bone, but you just couldn't do it.
No.
Right, that was a big one. Thanks for tuning in. That was the midfielders. We'll be back next week to be talking about rucks first. Then we'll talk about the forwards. I'm a bit scared about that one. But anyway, make sure you are subscribing to this podcast, whether that's on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Give us a 5-star rating and all of that. Help get the word out as we get down to, I think we're down to 5 weeks now until our round 1 start.
Can't wait.
Very
Pete.
close.
Oh, let's go.
Make sure you pick up your copy of the AFL record as well. That's out now. $9.95 from Good News Agency.
Apologies about the photos, but the content should be okay.
Read it.
Just read it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.